If they do that, they're going to be very, 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 very tough to beat.
Wilson! Oh! And we are tied!
Let's go! Call them by Slamma Jamma.
And I don't ever let them forget where we come from.
Getting those phones out. Report me acting ignorant.
Deyon Chris got his way through, and he may go! Chris is in! Houston leads out of nowhere!
Seventh heaven for Houston. The Cougars advance to their seventh Final Four.
Go Cougs! Let's go! It's so good! The dream remains alive for the Houston Cougars!
Cougs, as we load up onto the screen, let's move around some stuff in real time. My name is Andy Yanez. Welcome to another episode of Pod Slamma Jamma, presented by, hey, you could be the sponsor for the future episodes of Pod Slamma Jamma. We have plenty of space, as you see on the screen, as we move some stuff around here on this Wednesday evening. Dayon Dunlap is set to join us in a bit, and we are here to talk, crazy to think about, matchup number 7 already of the season for your University of Houston Cougars football team. The 5-1 Houston Cougars are set to take on the Arizona Wildcats, who enter this matchup 4-2 for homecoming. It's going to be a homecoming game for the University of Houston, early 11 a.m. kickoff from TDECU Stadium. But before we get into the matchup, first and foremost, Kenneth Bowman of Coog TV. You've been a busy guy the past few days. How are you doing on this Wednesday night?
I'm doing pretty good, Andy. Just getting ready to talk some football. We just did basketball media day yesterday, and ready to talk some football today.
Yes, sir. Business is about to pick up. Once we get into November rolling, it'll be right into basketball season, and obviously towards the tail end of football season. Hopefully we have some exciting games to talk about all of November. But let's stick here in October with Houston, Arizona. This weekend's matchup for the Cougars, like I said, it's homecoming game. And this is a team that it's in Arizona that's very intriguing. That we're gonna, I said this last week. We're gonna learn a lot about Houston and how they respond to their initial loss against Texas Tech, and I think they checked all the boxes. They showed up, they responded, they dominated an inferior team in Oklahoma State, and now they get a chance to showcase what they can do against the Wildcats. So it's going to be interesting to see. We're going to see where Houston stacks in the Big 12. Truly, are they towards the top tier of the conference, or are they more middle of the pack after Saturday? We have a really good idea of where Houston stands. Let's get into the matchup. What has been said? What has head coach Willie Fritz, some of the players, what have they been talking about when it comes to Saturday's game against Arizona?
Yeah, this is definitely going to be an interesting matchup with Arizona. I've been reading up about them. They have a really good running back room, so I expect them to test that defensive front that Houston has. Carlos Allen, Jalen Gardner, those guys are going to have to step up and stop that explosive running game that Arizona has. And even then, they have a good quarterback. He's very good in the passing game too. So we're really going to have to see them, the secondary, go out there and play their game and try to lock some dudes up.
Absolutely. When we're talking about this Arizona team, they mirror Houston in some ways. They have a really similar record, right? At 4-2, they're 1-2 in conference. But these are two programs that kind of following a similar path. If we're following the rebuild path last year, obviously for both of these programs, not the year that they wanted to put on tape, but it was a very a down year for both of these two programs. Now this year in 2025, they've had a bounce back year, and again, it's going to be for positioning when it comes to the Big 12 standings. Houston, obviously, they're sitting at 2-1. They're trying to keep pace with the top teams in the Big 12. Now that obviously they already have the loss under the belt against Texas Tech, so they can't really afford any other loss if they're trying to stay towards the top end. As for Arizona, flip side, they're coming into this matchup with a 1-2 Big 12 record. So I'm curious to see, one, how Houston looks against this team, because not to sound like a broken record, but we're going to see if they're truly towards the top tier teams that I believe that they are. What say you, Kenneth? What are you excited? What do you think Houston's going to be looking at when it comes to this standpoint, this matchup? What kind of are the areas of weakness for Arizona?
I mean, from the Houston side of things, I think they're just gonna, try to build on what they did last week. I know Coach Fritz, he likes to just treat every game as its own season, but I think naturally when you look at things, you're gonna look at what you did before and successes and things like that. But also not try to get too high on yourself. And we've been saying this every week. I think we are going to learn a lot about this team and how they go out and play against Arizona. I mean, Arizona, it seems like they're a good team. They're 4-2. They went down the wire with BYU last week, even though they didn't win. And BYU, they're the 18th ranked team in the country right now, I believe. So, I mean, they put up a good fight against that team, and we got to see what Houston does against that team. Houston's coming off a big win. Arizona's coming off a tough loss. So, on Saturday, we got to see how those two match up.
Can we take a second, Kenneth, to just acknowledge and appreciate the hell of a season that Amari Thomas has put together for Houston? I remember going back to our preseason show, we were talking about Houston and really who were the big threats going to be in offense. And we mentioned Stephon Johnson. We mentioned Tanner Kojo. We mentioned the running backs group. Now, obviously, that position group has kind of gotten beat up by injuries, but D. Connors has stepped up, and we've seen a little bit here and there in very minuscule spurts from some of the other guys. But Amari Thomas has put together a phenomenal, stellar season so far for Houston, and he's become really Connor Wayman's go-to threat, certainly in the past 2 games.
Yeah, Amari Thomas, he's been balling. I mean, Connor's been hitting him up every game, especially this last game. He had a career high 157 receiving yards on 7 catches, I believe, and he's getting the ball. I look at Amari Thomas, and the Oklahoma State, they're trying to tackle him, and he's still going another 5-10 yards. He makes the catches. He gets a lot of yak, and he refuses to go down when dudes try to tackle him. And I expect him to keep going. I mean, we might see Amari Thomas on Sundays if he keeps producing like he's doing right now.
What are your overall thoughts now that we officially are at the halfway mark for Houston, right? They've played 6 games. They have 6 games left. Obviously, hasn't been far from perfect, but I think we can both agree that each week in and week out, there's been improvement, especially from the offensive side of things, where they were week 1 compared to where they are now, sitting at 5-1. What do you feel? What has been one area that you feel Houston has done really well offensively, and then what is something that has still a area of growth for this Houston Cougars team?
I think against Oklahoma State, I think the offensive line, they had a good day. I think they handled their own. Just going back and reviewing how the line played and how they blocked and things like that. But also, there is room for improvement. I think they're still finalizing the rotation. Willie Fritz says he has 6 guys to play 5 spots. Their receiver room too. Coming in. We kind of thought it would be Stephon Johnson, Tanner Kojo, Devin Williams, those guys as the main targets. Devin Williams, he hasn't even, he's been hurt, so he's barely seen the field this year, and he hasn't recorded any stats yet either. A guy in camp. I kind of knew what we had in him when they brought him in, but I didn't expect Amari to take that leap into to being the main guy, because even in camp, I think Amari he got a majority of his reps with the twos during camp, and even a guy like Harvey Broussard. If they can get him going down the stretch, he had 2 catches and a touchdown last game, so if we can try to utilize him in the receiving game, I think there's another element that we can unlock in this receiver room.
Yeah, that's a great point. We mentioned Harvey Broussard. He's someone that made a lot of big plays for Houston during fall camp, and it hasn't necessarily translated so much on Saturdays. But I agree. I think when we're talking about this Houston Cougars offense, we've really it's kind of a big 3 that I've called it. Kind of a big 4 depending on how the game goes. But they have viable weapons, which is again, not to focus too much on last season, but to compare it to where they were a year ago, where quite frankly, they didn't really have weapons offensively, at least most definitely not consistent ones. And this year they have Amari Thomas, like you mentioned. Tanner Kojo has become a safety blanket for Connor Wegman out there. When it always seems like when they need a big play, he goes to Tanner, and he's going to come up more often than not with the big catch, with the big play. Dean Connors in the backfield and Stephon Johnson, like that's kind of become to the really the dynamic players for this Houston Cougars team so far on offense. Now, when we flip over to the defensive side of the ball, I think this is something that, again, all of us were really we felt that the defense wasn't going to have that much of a drop off, but there were questions, right? How are they going to react? How are they going to respond? How are they going to look with the losses that they had in the transfer portal? And so far, through 6 games, they've checked all the boxes as well. They've been a really good defensive unit overall, top to bottom. And this is going to be something that on Saturday, it's going to be kind of a strength for both of these teams. Both Arizona and Houston are heading into this game with some really strong defenses. And the Houston Cougars have lived up to kind of the bar that they set last year. What say you? What stood out to you about the defense so far this season?
Yeah, I think defensively, definitely I would say the secondary came along. I didn't think they would necessarily be a bad unit overall. Because I liked the additions that they added into the secondary, and we kind of already knew what we had in, Latrell McCutcheon and the Kentrell Webb. The additions that they put in with those guys, they seem to fit in nicely, and really, the linebacker unit, Fotu and Jalen Garner, those guys they've been doing a thing. Jalen Garner led the team in tackles against Oklahoma State, and then up front on the D line, Carlos Allen, I feel like we knew what we had in him coming into this year, and he's been doing it. He's putting up stats, stopping the run. I think he's really holding down that entire defense in the run game.
Yeah, absolutely. Hoop and Holler on YouTube, they're coming. They think the Houston defense is going to hold strong this week, and they're looking forward to seeing what the offense looks like against this Arizona Wildcats defense. Now, like I just mentioned before a few moments ago, this is going to be strength on strength when it comes to these two defenses on Saturday. Houston, when you look at a couple of different rankings, total defense, Houston is 25th in the entire country when it comes to total defense. Compare that to Arizona, who is 15th in total defense heading into this matchup. When we're talking about scoring defense, Houston stands at 23rd, Arizona right behind them at 27. So these are going to be two defenses that are looking to show out, and quite frankly, they're going to try to flex. They're trying to find out who is the better unit in the Big 12.
Yeah, definitely. Sounds like this is going to be a game where you have to win the turnover margin. Offensively, I think Houston can't make any mistakes against that team. They have a good unit on defense, and offensively they can get you too. So if you turn the ball over and you give a team like Arizona some good field position, I think they'll surely make you pay. But even then, I think that's one thing I've noticed out of this defense. When the offense has turned the ball over and kind of put the defense in bad spots, they most times they kind of have made the best out of it. Forcing teams to a field goal, or forcing them to give the ball up and not giving up that score, and kind of helping the offense out if they make a mistake and turn the ball over.
Absolutely. You mentioned Jalen Garner, Jalen Garner, I should say, how he leads the team for Houston when it comes to tackles. Carlos Allen right behind him. Garner has 42 total tackles. Carlos Allen has 41. They've certainly taken the reins of this defense. When you look, again, comparing these two defenses, overall, top to bottom, as a team, Houston has put together 13 total sacks this season. Arizona is one ahead at 14 sacks. So it doesn't really matter what different statistic that you look at it. These two seem to be really, really evenly matched defenses, and I'm excited to see what this matchup looks like on Saturday. We might have an old school defensive battle when both of these teams take the field at 11 a.m. on FS1, by the way. Just to make sure you know your network if you aren't going out to the game where the game will be.
Get to the game.
And like you mentioned, it's going to be very important for Houston's offense in particular to take care of the ball. Something that, for the most part, they've done a good job, with the exception of the Texas Tech game. And lo and behold, that's the one game that they've lost so far this season. But they've done a relatively good job of taking care of the ball, and that's kind of the recipe for success that Willie Fritz has talked about since he got here, since his first press conference ever when he first stepped foot in the University of Houston. That's Willie Fritz ball, right? You got to take care of the turnover battle. Got to make sure that you kind of have control of the game when it comes to tempo, setting the tone, kind of winning different aspects, both either in the battle of the trenches or just control in time of possession. And in 5 out of the 6 games that Houston has played, with the exception of Oregon State, where, they got their act together and they did it in those last 6 minutes. But most definitely, for most of the season, they've taken care of the ball. Now they're going to have another tough test in Arizona, because they're a team that is really good at making you look bad on offense.
Yeah, and just I feel like if you're Houston, these are the type of games you want. These are the type of matchups that you seek. You want to go out there and test how good are you. You want to go and see how good of a team you can be. You want to see your guys, your brothers on the team, and go out and fight against a notable opponent. And that's how bonds are built. That's how the team gets better when you go out there and test yourself. So if you can come and find some success against Arizona, if you come away with a win, you definitely will be, if you're Houston, you're going to be, feeling good about yourself at 6-1, and you might even crack a top 25 ranking too.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those key opportunities for Houston to have any chance at getting some national respect. You know what? You mentioned it, Kenneth. I'm curious to get your thoughts. What do you think so far about the fact that Houston has gotten 0 AP votes at all this season? Just curious to get your thoughts on that.
I look at who they played. SFA, Rice, a third string quarterback at Colorado. You go up to Oregon State. You don't really you play an objectively bad game at Oregon State, and you barely win in overtime. You lose to at the time 11th ranked Texas Tech. They blow you out at your home, and then you bounce back against a very bad Oklahoma State team. So I don't really know if that warrants a top 25 vote. If you can compare it to the resumes of the other teams. Maybe when you have a team like Memphis in there, but they're undefeated and Houston isn't.
True.
But I think if Houston, the ranking stuff, if you just keep winning, stacking wins, because at the end of the day, when you win so much, and especially being in the Big 12, if you move to 6-1, 7-1, or 6-2, 7, whatever the record is, I think that will hold some weight, and they might start getting some votes. And I think it starts this week. This is when it's the second half of the season. This is when teams really gear up and strap up, and you see what your team is about. So if they come away 6-1, I think that holds some weight. And I can see a 25th or 24th ranking. And I even looked and seen. I think USC is playing Notre Dame this week. So I think if UNC loses that, I think they get booted out. So if Houston wins and USC loses, they might can get a spot. It's you got to look at who's in there, who they're playing. Oh, this guy, they might lose that team. So and then that can be a way for Houston to get in.
Gotcha. You're right. You hit the nail right ahead. I get that argument. To play devil's advocate when you see some of the teams that are, you know what? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't really matter. I think a lot of fans they like to nitpick when it comes to, Navy's getting votes. Now, granted, they are undefeated, like you said, but they haven't necessarily beaten any top tier. Same with a team like UNLV, right? Although they do have the undefeated thing going for it, but at the end of the day, you're right on the money. All they got to do is keep stacking wins, and ultimately, eventually, force those national poll voters to not really have a choice in terms of getting Houston some respect. And like you mentioned, this is a great opportunity for Houston to do 2 things. One, again, this is one of the topper tier teams in the Big 12, right? They're not Yeah, they're certainly they're not at the level of Texas Tech, right? But they're not an Oklahoma State. They're not. This would arguably, I think, be the could be the best win of the season so far. If they do beat Arizona, at least it'll be the toughest opponent they've beaten if they are able to secure the victory, at least up to this point, right? Considering that they lost to Texas Tech. And it's also an opportunity to kind of end their season in a way because with 3 losses, their chances of getting to the Big 12 championship game are pretty much non-existent if Houston does indeed is able to come away with the victory. And for Houston, it certainly boosts his resume, and they keep him in the conversation. Currently, Houston in a 4-way tie for 4th place in the Big 12 conference standings. So, that's something to keep an eye on. What potentially is at stake on Saturday between Houston and Arizona. Kenneth, one other thing that I did want to get your thoughts on, just in terms of what we've seen from this Houston Cougars team so far. How would you evaluate Connor Wegman's performance? Do you think that this is about as best they could have asked for, or what say you? What are your thoughts on how Connor Wegman's played through the 2025 season?
I mean, I would say it's definitely hasn't been a perfect experience with Connor Wigman, but I said this is kind of the best. I mean, when you went from you had Donovan Smith 2023, and then last year you had Donovan Smith and Zion Chris, because Donovan Smith got benched, and then this year you go to the former 5-star Connor Wigman, and I mean, even as fans, I mean, and people that follow the team, they come in and bring in Connor Wigman, and everyone's like, oh my God, he saved us, and and Connor's done his thing this year. He's played, I mean, relatively good. Maybe showing his A&M freshman days. I mean, and even last, I mean, against Oklahoma State, he went for 306, and he didn't even. They were up so much they pulled him. He didn't even have to finish the game, and that's a good thing. I mean, if you can pull your starters out, if you guys go and put up a great performance, and you can just take the starters out and they can take the rest of the day off, that's always a good thing. So the fact that Connor went in there, coming off concussion protocol, he was knocked out of the Texas Tech game. And he really didn't play that great before he exited. I mean, which is just a shout out to Texas Tech and how good they are. But you bounce back against Oklahoma State, Connor Wigman, you throw for 306, and you don't even have to finish the day because your team was so good that day. So right now, midway through the season, I'm confident. I kind of always had confidence in Connor. Just he has confidence in himself. And then you heard on the TV, he said he told his unit, we're going to score. Like every time we touch the ball, we're going to score. And I think they went like 7 for 8 or 6 for 7, something like that.
Yeah, 6 for 7, I believe.
Yeah, and coach said it. I mean, we went out and scored every time after Connor said it. So that's just one thing. The leadership he's brought to the team. Even going back to spring, I think he commanded the locker room like really instantly as soon as he got here. Because I mean, the guys are looking around, they bring in Connor, and they're like, well, we know this guy's going to come in here and start, but obviously he still had to go out and compete and earn his spot. But I mean, yeah, so the bottom line is, I mean, he's been pretty good. I like what he's done.
Well, that's a perfect note to bring in Dayon Dunlap. Dayon, how are you doing on this Wednesday night, sir?
Man, I'm.
Oh, you muted.
We lost your audio.
Can you hear me?
Yep, you're good.
Can you hear me? I'm
Yep.
doing good. How about you guys, man? Sorry for my tardiness. Sorry for my tardiness. I'm doing great though, man. I'm excited for this upcoming game. I'm sorry about last game. I'm sorry for what's going on.
Yes, sir. Let's. I'm curious to get. I'm gonna ask you the same question that I just asked Kenneth, but overall, we could kind of transition about Houston's offense in general. But halfway through the season, 6 games that Houston have played, how would you evaluate just what you've seen from Connor Wegman in terms of it? Do you feel like this is the best case scenario that has played out, or how would you evaluate not only his performance but that of the offense overall?
Man, from what I've seen,
Cut off, Dayon.
Dayon, you cut off again.
What I've seen from Connor so far, he's gotten better game by game, going with more confidence game by game, and I think he's decided to really put it all together. I wouldn't even say in deciding. I just feel like he's gaining more confidence and more chemistry in the system, and I think he's really getting better game by game. I think he's gotten better since the Rice game, then from the Oregon State in that second half. Then you look from after that first couple of drives in his last game. So I feel like Connor, his best football is in front of him. I think he's finding himself, and he's really finding that continuity within the offense and within the scheme.
Also, one thing to add to that, Dayon, I think that the play calling. I think it's more they're kind of showing more of what Connor's strengths are through the play calling, and also the offensive line had a really good performance against Oklahoma State too. That's also contributed to Connor's success.
Yep, 100%. Dayon, talking about this upcoming matchup with Arizona, what are some of the things that you're looking forward to? What are you excited about when it comes to Saturday's matchup against the Wildcats? Oh, looks like he's preoccupied. But in a segue, Kenneth, real quick, what do you feel are the keys to the game? You mentioned taking care of the ball. What do you feel like Houston is going to have to do well besides obviously taking care of the ball to come out with a victory in Arizona? Who's someone that you are looking forward to having a big game?
Honestly, keep giving it to Amari. He's been the guy. I mean, we seen it in the Oregon State game. We see it against Oklahoma State. Feed the hot hand. Offensive line, keep doing what they're doing. Perhaps be good in pass pro. We haven't talked about Dean Connors today. He played really good against Oklahoma State. I was
Hell of a catch. He had the Odell Beckham catch.
He hit the jump man pose, and then he's flipping over the line. I'm like, who's Dean Connors feeling like? Dean Connors, if he can really put it together, put it together some more, he can be really good against Arizona, and yeah.
Dan, what say you? What do you feel like are the keys for Houston to come away with a victory on Saturday?
I think we got to start fast. From watching Arizona's game against BYU, they really, really struggle to stop the run. So I think we definitely have to get our run game going, especially with Dean Connors. And he's really proven to be a very, very, very versatile back. I mean, you just talked about that one-handed catch, and he showed his sure hands throughout this entire season. He can run inside, he can run outside. You give him room, he can even take it the distance, 30, 40, 25 plus yards. And so I think it's very apparent that we get the running game going, then we get that play action game going off of the pass, but we got to really get that run game going. BYU's running backs average 7 yards per touch, and then their quarterback, who is a runner as well, but he isn't as elusive as Connor Wegman, and so I think it's very important to get that run game going and then get the passing game going off of that.
Great points. And when we're talking about Saturday's matchup against Arizona, I think it's also going to be a chance, like you mentioned, Kenneth, about a redemption for the offensive line, because the last time they played a top-tier defense, granted, I think Texas Tech is a level ahead of where Arizona is, but still, Arizona is a really, really good defense. Texas Tech is just a top 10 defense. But let's be honest, Houston's offensive line got absolutely demolished and destroyed by Texas Tech. It's a chance for redemption in that aspect.
Yeah, I agree. Even against Oregon State, I don't think the offensive line played that good that game either. They've been mixing it up. We've seen. I think they've moved Wyckoff to center at times. They've moved Agnello in there at guard. And then they lost David Nukwe. He's out for the season. So they kind of had to. I think they had to adjust a little bit maybe after losing him, and they're still mixing it up, trying new things, but just the groups that I've seen them rotate in lately. I think I have a higher confidence than I did at the beginning of the year.
We have a comment on YouTube. Dizzy Busy 88 says Arizona looks like a solid team based on the BYU game. Definitely a win to feel good about if UH is able to pull off the victory on Saturday. Again, this game's going to kick off at 11 a.m. at TDCU Stadium, Houston's homecoming game. And then for those that aren't able to make it to the stadium, will be broadcast on FS1 nationally on television. This is obviously the next game that Houston wins will make them bowl eligible. This would be a really, really solid victory for Houston if they are indeed able to pull it off on Saturday. And it would be incredible if they're able to get bowl eligible sitting at 6-1. And again, this would be the most impressive, definitely the strongest win of the year if they are able to do it. To answer the question that I posed to you guys, I think I agree 100%. Like, it's going to be key to start fast, and I think they're going to have to get involved a lot of different weapons options. And I think it's going to be, I agree with what both of y'all said in terms of the running game is going to be key for Houston's success on Saturday. But I think they're going to have to start coming, they have to come off a little bit different. I think they got to start passing a little bit more so that they can kind of not allow Arizona to stack the box and maybe
Used to
open
pass
things
to
up.
open up the run game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think what's going to be key for that is for Connor Wegman to get the ball out of his hands quick, get the ball into his playmakers, get into Stephon Johnson, like you mentioned, Kenneth, get into Amari Thomas, get into Tanner Kojo, maybe get it into, like we mentioned, Harvey Broussard or Kobe Young, who's, started to, they seem to be targeting him more, and he's shown that he has the ability to take the cap off of a defense so far. I think that's going to be kind of the recipe for success. And also, it'll help out the offensive line a little bit if Houston is able to do some quick passing game and get the ball out of Connor Wegman's hands. So, it just reduces the amount of time that they have to block and less time that Connor Wegman can get hit.
Yeah, I mean, even the weapons, like you said. I mean, even the freshman Jaquez Martin, he's been getting some reps.
Mm-hmm.
That is one thing I've noticed. I think the offensive line has fared better in pass pro than run blocking. I saw that against Oregon State. One thing I did see that was very interesting in our practice. They were putting Austin Carlisle in that wide receiver. He was getting in the slot and out wide. And also they were putting in Dean Connors out wide too. I mean, he's done that before, but he hasn't done that here. Not to leak the game plan or anything. That was just interesting. So I don't know, man. Austin was making plays. I saw him. He had Jordan Allen matched up against him in 1-on-1, and he made a catch on Jordan Allen. And then they had him in the slot. They had him working with Zion, and they had him working with Connor. So I don't know. We might see some Austin Carlisle wide receiver reps. Who knows?
Breaking news: UHTV's Kenneth Bowman has been hunted down by Willie Fritz for leaking the game plan. That's very. If he didn't really see Austin Carlisle. He was, it was mistaken. No, but in all seriousness, that at the end of the day, when I hear that, what it makes me think is really a testament to the coaching staff, and like you mentioned, they're trying to find plays to put their players to succeed in the best positions to succeed, and that's a big just a big breath of fresh air, if I could think straight, because in years past there hasn't been that confidence in coaches putting their players to succeed in previous years, and that's something where, again, play around, move. Maybe a player will find better success in different areas, in different positions, or maybe they have some trickery, which something that they have up their sleeve. And when it comes to Austin Carlisle in particular, right, he played his first real action this past Saturday against Oklahoma State. He still got 3 games left to burn and keep his redshirt year intact. So why not do it and go out there? And that's what really I like the most, to be honest, is the fact that they're moving players around. And at the end of the day, that's going to make your offense more versatile. That's going to make your offense more unpredictable. And, if anyone from Arizona pays attention, now you have one more thing you got to worry about.
Yeah, man, they ain't ready for the Austin Carlisle wide receiver package, man.
Dan, what say you? Any other thoughts or final things before we wrap things up heading into Saturday's matchup against Arizona?
I mean, I think that's a good point that you made because you also brought that up in Let's Raise Cougs and opening up the offense quicker with the passing games to set up the run. And I actually agree with you 100% because the scouting report on Houston is stop the run. But what they've shown is that ability to attack the field, whether it's deep, intermediate, or in the flats. So I think that is a good thing. And I wouldn't be mad at sprinkling the Austin Kyle, but I think we have so many other playmakers, whether it's others from Thomas to Boogie to Brashard or even from Kobe. And so, and even from Cozio. And so I definitely agree. I think probably let's come out and try to start fast, get up fast, and open and attack them deep to make them not put eight in the box, keep them safeties deep, and then run the ball. So I think that's a really good point you made, and I think that's something that they should do. I definitely feel like we need to get off to a fast start and score quickly to make Arizona one dimensional.
I think one thing I could say this team may have evolved from maybe like a running team that passes well to a passing team that runs well.
Yeah.
Just with the court with who you have at quarterback, the talent you have at receiver, and then honestly just with the running back room that we have right now is not the running back room we envisioned coming into the year.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of had to change things up, and then and then as the staff, I mean, they know how to adjust well, they know how to use their personnel well, and I mean, and that's what's contributed to a 5-1 Houston team looking to be 6-1.
Great point mentioned. Like heading into the season, we mentioned how we had a lot of expectations on Rashawn Sanford, and lo and behold, he was out for the season before he ever took a snap to begin the year. And now Stacey Sneed as well is also going to be sidelined for this Houston Cougars team for a handful of weeks. So, like you mentioned, this team overall, and obviously the coaching staff in general, has done a great job at being able to be versatile, to adjust on the fly, and ultimately that's what good teams do. Good teams find a way to win despite the different adversity that is thrown their way over the course of a season. That being said, that's pretty much going to do it for our preview show of Houston, Arizona. I'll toss it over to you, Kenneth. First and foremost, thank you once again for hopping on and previewing this upcoming matchup here on Pod Slime at Jamma. Anything you'd like to share, plug? What are some of the things you're doing for Coog TV or any other outlet? Now's your time.
Yeah, Coog TV. We just put out a whole bunch of interview press conference clips from Basketball Media Day yesterday. We got those out today. We will be at Big 12 Media Day next week in Kansas City, so be on the lookout for that. Shout out Go Cougs, and shout out my folks at Daily Cougar. They just started up a new website, Cougar Sports One. Cam, Alejandro, Sean, Michael, Ashton, all y'all. So shout out y'all. Y'all doing y'all thing. They starting a whole new website up. So and this is I think they got like 2 articles up there right now. And they just
awesome.
dropped the website. Yeah, they just dropped the website today. So shout out to y'all. Y'all doing it.
That's awesome. Real quickly, just to, again, big thank you to everyone that took the time out of their day or nights, whenever you may be watching or listening to this, or took the time to comment on the show. Big thank you. If you are interested in being a potential sponsor of this episode of Pod Slam and Jamma, right? We do preview shows, and eventually we'll be talking about basketball season starting here pretty soon. Reach out to us at letsragecougs@gmail.com. If you're interested in getting Kenneth some NIL money, reach out to him personally. He has his Twitter on the screen as well. That's at KJBOWM on X, I should say. And then once again, big thank you to everybody. You can follow us on all social media platforms, on X at PodSlimeAjama, on Instagram or TikTok at just everything lowercase Let's Rage Cougs. Once again, the 5-1 Houston Cougars will be hosting Arizona, who enters the matchup at 4-2 at 11 a.m. kickoff, homecoming day for Houston at TDECU Stadium. And we will be live after the show at about 2:30 maybe 3 o'clock, probably 2:30 if it goes similar to this past weekend's game against Oklahoma State in terms of timings. And we'll be there with Let's Rage Cougs. It'll be Dayon and I along with Chris and Bryce Bell to break down everything that happens between Houston and Arizona. Dayon, as always, you get the final word, sir.
Man, everything we want for this season is right in front of us. Game by game, go 1-0. And I feel very confident that this team has really turned the corner. I just look back to the game that we lost. Our quarterback stayed healthy. We right in that game. So stack the games. 1-0 this week. Everything we want is right in front of us. We got to go 1-0 each week. And I'm proud to be a Houston alum. I think we're officially back, and each sport is going to be on the rise, just like the basketball program. So stay with us. Pod Slamma Jamma. Go Coog. I mean, Coog TV. It's all coming, baby. Go Coog.